Hello, Numpkins here. I did a Guild Wars 2 endgame review a while back and wanted to give an updated leveling guide for people that may be new to Guild Wars 2. However, I do have a couple of assumptions that I'll be operating on. The first one being is that this guide is for people who are new to MMOs, and the second one being is that this guide is also for people who may have some experience in MMOs but not Guild Wars 2 specifically. Now here's a quick look at some of the races in Guild Wars 2. Just a side note, there's no racials that are really going to give you an edge up in PvP or anything like that. So anyway, the first we have the Char. The Char there, they are the kind of the horde-like race right there. The next one that we have is going to be the human. The human is just your vanilla human. Then we have the Norn. The Norn is a Viking type class, or I'm sorry, but race. The next one that we're going to have is going to be the Ashura. Now, the Ashura are kind of the gnome type race in Guild Wars 2, very technologically advanced sort of thing. And then we have the Sylvari. Now, Sylvari are pretty unique. Suffice it to say that they're born of a mother tree. Now, moving on to the classes, you have your standard warrior. Then you have your Guardian, which is your paladin type. The Revenant is the newest to Guild Wars 2. It's a pretty unique class. The next one that we're going to have is the Ranger. The Ranger is the primary kind of hunter pet class. Next one is going to be your Thief. Now your Thief is your rogue type. Just your basic standard rogue type class. The next class is your Engineer. Now your Engineer is pretty unique. It deals mainly in firearms and explosives until you get to your elite specialization, but it's really too early to start talking about that. Your next one that you have is your Necromancer, which deals in disease and blood magic, condition damage, that sort of thing, which we'll talk about in a later video. Now here, the Elementalist, it deals with attuning to different elements in order to do different types of damage. And then lastly, we have the Mesmer. The Mesmer is kind of unique. It basically makes copies of itself or illusions, and then uses those to deal damage to either other players or in the PvE environment. So let's take a look at the UI. At the bottom middle, you'll see the red ball there. That's your life indicator. Above that, if you look close, you'll see two yellow strips on top of that. That's your endurance bars. You use your endurance to dodge enemies during an attack. At the bottom left is your chat window, and on your screen, your minimap will actually be on the top right. I just place mine down at the bottom because that's what I'm used to. You'll also see different notifications underneath your minimap on the top right. Things like status of hearts, which we'll get to in just a second. You actually see there's a status up there on mine. Now, when we open up our bags by pressing I, if you look there at there's a gearbox up at the top right. You can click on the deposit your materials, and it'll post all your crafting materials to a central bank for all your characters. There's also an option there to compact it to help compact it. It's very helpful to help manage your inventory space. Alright, so you access the map by pressing M, and a few things I want you to look at. If you look at the hearts, the ones that are filled up are the ones that you have completed. Now hearts are Guild Wars 2's version of questing. So if you filled them up, you've completed them. If they're empty, you haven't. If you look for two triangles, those are vistas. Those are going to allow you to have a small cinematic of the area and what it looks like. Another thing to look for, the blue diamonds. Those blue diamonds, they are going to allow you to fast travel through the map, so make sure that you pick those up as you go through. One other thing, if you look at the left side of the map, you'll see these two boxes. That's just going to show you the percentage of the map that you're currently in has complete. That's the one on the bottom. The one on the top is what percentage of the world objectives that you have complete. Now, one mistake I see a lot of new players make is that they'll travel from heart to heart like they do in a traditional MMO, trying to complete quest hub, quote unquote, to quest hub. But if you look here, you're going to see an orange circle. That indicates an event in the area. I highly recommend, don't necessarily travel from heart to heart, but as you're doing hearts and you're doing other things, go to those events. They're extremely important. Okay, one thing I'd like to show you is that if you go to the cross swords up there on the top left, you'll pull up your panel. your PvP panel, and if you click enter lobby, it'll take you to the Heart of the Mist. So once you zone into the Heart of the Mist, if you go to the right and go up the stairs, you'll come across these vendors. You come across an armor vendor, and to her left, I'm sorry, to her right will be a weapons vendor. And if you look through, you may have some missing pieces, some pieces that you don't have. You can go in and fill them in. But you also may have some pieces that are substantial upgrades. Go ahead and grab those, and you can go ahead and equip them. Uh, it's not a big help, and you don't have to do this every time you level up. I just do it the first time just to get me started. And I can't stress this enough. One thing that I strongly recommend is to not get in the quest hub mentality of going from heart to heart. Do the events as they come across. This is a very social game by nature, so as you do the events, you'll come across a lot of different people. The zones will feel more alive for you than if you're just looking at your map, going from empty heart to empty heart, trying to fill them up. Everything you do in this game gives you experience, from looking at vistas to even helping other players. If you see another down player, you'll have an interaction to be able to revive them. Go ahead and do that. Down NPCs, you can do the same thing. Everything in Guild Wars 2 gives you experience. Play the game the way you want to. There is no real solid roadmap on how you should play it. Now, if you want to go from heart to heart, that's totally up to you. Totally up to you. But I'll be back shortly with a 10 to 20, and we'll talk more about the personal story and get a little bit more in depth on some of the gameplay. Again, I thank you for stopping by. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you later.